This is this ain't looking good, Chief. Oh yeah. Marvel's Avengers is a game that has one of the worst receptions I have seen in games this year, or I guess you can say last year. And I would argue it is mostly a marketing issue. I have encountered many people who have not even played this game and have dismissed it as an absolute dumpster fire. It is normal to see many reviews say that this game has no content or that its only saving grace is its story mode. On the other hand, anyone who has played it seems to have so much fondness for it, and I am no different. This leads to them saying that this is a great game, hidden under a bunch of dumb decisions. Now, what is the truth? Is it good? Is it bad? Is this a game for you, or is it something you should pass over? I hope to help answer some of those questions today. We will break this game down into 3 separate parts. The first is the story, the second is the gameplay, and the third is everything that involves the multiplayer, including microtransactions, battle passes, and the expansions. The story, in my opinion, is just okay to good. Not the best, not the worst. The main purpose of the story is to set up AIM, the main villain organization that you will be fighting endlessly in the never-ending Destiny loot gameplay that you're going to be doing with this game. In terms of narrative, it's also to introduce the character of Miss Marvel, aka Kamala Khan, to the masses of people who probably do not know who she is. The events begin on A-Day, short for the Avengers Day. On this day, the Avengers are going to show off a new power source called Terrigen, as well as their second headquarters on the West Coast, and very minorly a fanfiction competition. I wonder why Miss Marvel is there. If you have watched the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show, or, read a comic book involving Inhumans, you know that this substance also has the ability to awaken the powers in Inhumans. A terrorist plot begins, and it leads to the world blaming the Avengers for the destruction of San Francisco, the death of Captain America, and the apparent spread of disease that is the Inhumans curse. With Cap dead, and the Avengers all kind of just accept things as they are and disband. Some wallow in self-pity, others go back to trying their best to save the world from the shadows, and others just give up on each other. This, of course, leads to Inhumans being labeled a threat to society and in need of curing. Kamala, having been exposed to Terrigen since he was there as a fanfic writer in the competition, lives as a secret Inhuman resistance member with the abilities of a polymorph. She knows AIM is lying about something and works to find evidence that leads to them facing justice for what they are doing to Inhumans. After a funny jab at Iron Man, she finds visual evidence that can lead to AIM's downfall and starts a cross-country journey to reassemble the Avengers. Needless to say, it is an action romp with many in-jokes and some character moments for many Avengers. I will say it definitely leans on Iron Man for many of these moments, and Thor gets shafted a lot, at least in my opinion. He barely does anything in the story. I will say his iconic mission chain is the best one of the original members, but even then it's mostly because of the implications for future expansions. What are iconic mission chains? They are essentially just side missions that explore a little bit more about what the individual members of the Avengers are all about and how they do things. Iron Man was mostly getting his stuff back from AIM, Hulk was some kind of gamma radiation experiment that was being used with his research, Black Widow, having worked as a spy within AIM, is all about defectors and inside jobs. Caps was just telling the world he isn't dead, and that they have been consuming a bunch of fake news. Miss Marvel is literally just her campaign. It's the entirety of the campaign mode. And Thor's was about somebody impersonating him. I wonder who that can be. Like, I don't know. I don't know a single character in Thor's Rogues Gallery that deals with impersonating people and causing mischief. There are many parts of the story that have a lot of heart and honestly made me smile. Most of these are Kamala interacting with her idols. For instance, a scene between her and Tony when it comes to superhero attire made me giggle and feel good about her being there.
Alright, I'm just gonna change.
Wait. The outfit is all about attitude. You gotta wear it like you mean it. Show me what you got. Come on, you can do better than that. Yeah, now we're talking? Alright. You know what? Maybe I can help you with some upgrades for that. Gear's already spinning.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, and if Bruce says anything, just remind him that all he wears are super stretchy shorts.
Not to mention Captain America's interaction with her in the very first mission, where she stands up to bullies. It is such a Captain America thing to do, and I just thought the entire interaction was just adorable. If there's anything I did not like, it was the final mission in terms of story pacing. I feel MODOK's defeat was a little rushed, and the ending was a little abrupt. For one, Kamala passes out and we don't really see what happens to MODOK other than him hanging off the top of the Sentinel's head. He isn't the one behind the postgame, so I just want more closure on that end. Overall, I know that the people who wrote this story are big fans of these characters, and I feel they wanted to do them justice. I, for one, think that they did a good job with that. Moving on to gameplay, we have a lot to talk about. And I'm not going to be able to break down each character for you. This is not that kind of video. I will go a little bit into two characters, but for the most part, I'm not going to go into what each ability does, how they work. But there's a lot to talk about here. I will go over some of the basics as to how the game kind of plays, though. So, first off, each hero has 4 abilities that are unique to them, but follow this pattern. The first ability is a supportive ability. It buffs the hero in question and in some cases other members of the strike team. The second ability is an offensive ability. This one is pretty straightforward. It sometimes has a secondary effect like a buff, usually behind a skill upgrade. The third ability is the hero's ultimate ability. This varies, but it usually means you are going to be hurting the enemy something fierce. The final ability is their intrinsic ability. This is what makes each character unique and set apart from each other. This is usually a toggle ability that gives your character a buff or changes something about the way they fight. Example being Miss Marvel's Polymorph. It increases her damage output as well as auto-dodging some attacks. For characters that can fly, you hold down the jump button to hover, and to initiate flight, you just sprint. So, push the stick down. You have a light attack button and a heavy attack button, as well as a dodge button. Each character has a ranged attack of some kind. To get into ranged attack mode, you hold the left trigger, and to shoot, pull the right trigger like any other shooter. These are extremely unique from one another. For instance, Kamala again, she just stretches her hand and she can potentially just grab people as well. That is an upgrade though. So instead of talking about each individual character, I'm going to try to talk about 2 of them a little like in depth, but not really. It's just kind of like an overview. But Miss Marvel is mostly a support character. She has a lot of crowd control, and one of her abilities, her support ability to be exact, is an area of effect heal with later upgrades, and with later upgrades it can also revive people instantly or refresh teammate abilities and a whole bunch of other things. All of her attacks also have potential to stun, launch, or hitting just multiple people at once. Her offensive ability is called High Five, and she just open palm smacks the enemy with a massive gear third hand. This launches even some of the bigger enemies away, so it can be used to alleviate some of your teammates or just cause massive damage. Before I move on to her ultimate, I will remind you of her intrinsic ability, which increases her damage output as well as allows her to auto-dodge some attacks. Her ult is just that, but instead of auto-dodging attacks, she just gets bigger and tanks the hits. Her damage buff is also greater and her range is further extended. Now, if Miss Marvel is a support hero, then the Hulk is just a massive tank. He deals the most damage out of all the characters except maybe Thor. His support ability just increases his own defenses, and if you give it a certain upgrade, it just starts taunting all the enemies to hit him. He is really good at drawing the enemy's attention, especially because his offensive ability also happens to taunt enemies with an upgrade. He football tackles many enemies and grabs one for a massive ground pound that does a lot of damage. The ultimate ability is his famous Thunderclap. It does massive damage in a large area and can literally clear a room. I often use it when there is a large swarm and it decimates all the little guys and takes a lot of bigger enemies down to half their health. His intrinsic ability is his Rage. When activated, all of his attacks do more damage and heal him for a big portion of the damage he does. He is a tank that can heal himself based on how much damage he is doing. Really nice. There are more to both of these kits, specifically when it comes to optional upgrades and all that other stuff, but there's a lot to cover there and I don't have time to do that in this video. The point I'm trying to make is that there is so much variety in the way that two people can control the same character that it's just insane how many ways you can play this game. But what are the missions all about? What are these amazing heroes going to be doing for the foreseeable future in a world that has shunned them and are trying to rebuild the shield, fight AIM, and save captured Inhumans along the way? Most missions will drop you in a small open area with optional bosses and chests to open sprinkled about. They can also drop you in an AIM laboratory with similar objectives. Destroy this machine, save those hostages, defeat the specific unit, defeat a boss, defend this position, or control many points of the map. The main mission objective is usually highlighted by a suspiciously familiar icon. This entire game is set up like a live service game and it shows, but the biggest thing that sets it different from Destiny is the way the game plays. Instead of guns, unless you play Black Widow, it mostly ends with melee combat, so it is more fun for me and it might be to you as well. A quick side point before moving on to the multiplayer aspect. This game is a looter brawler, in the fact that your power level is based on the loot you find in missions. Each piece of gear has up to 3 effects that give you stuff like resistances, extra damage on some abilities, type damages like gamma, plasma, particle shock, etc. At the time of writing this, the maximum power level I have seen seems to be 150. So yeah, it's Destiny Light for the most part, with currently 7 different characters to play with and manage. I believe there is room to complicate it more in the future if they want to, or completely change how it works like Destiny did a bit back, but for the most part, this is a pretty solid system. I will now proceed to talk about the thing that most people go to when they say that this game is such a grind, and let me tell you, it is not as much of a grind as Warframe or Destiny. Some would say this game is predatory and completely unfair to play for free. No, let me state this. The vast majority of this game can be earned for free. When the game was being marketed and explained to me, the battle passes were extremely confusing. I believe that the battle passes were like Fortnite and cost a premium. I was not planning on buying them at all since it was all cosmetics. But what I have learned about the battle passes for the first 6 characters is that they are all free. It will be the new character battle passes that will cost an additional $10 each. Here's the thing though. Some of the rewards in the battle passes are the premium currency. And this includes the new characters. I've only done about 20% of the battle passes for 5 of the characters, and I already have enough to purchase Kate Bishop's battle pass. Looking forward ahead in the battle passes, I believe there's enough free premium currency to earn in order to purchase any and all future battle passes, with even a couple of skins on the side. In total, each hero needs 200 hero points in order to max out the battle pass. You earn them by completing the weeklies and dailies that are specific to each hero. From what I have seen, the weeklies are pretty generic, such as kill 50 of these specific enemies, and the dailies are very character specific, like kill 10 enemies with a specific attack. You have 2 weeklies and 2 dailies. Weeklies net you 11 points apiece, so 22 a week. Dailies net you 3 points apiece, so 6 a day and 42 weekly. Add those together and you make 64 a week. That's honestly not that bad. 1 month and you have all of those battle passes maxed out if you play like an addiction. Around 2 months if you only do weeklies, and in reality it's probably going to take you roughly 3 months, because if you play this like a normal person, that's how much it should be. So the marketplace kind of works kind of like how CTR does it. The marketplace refreshes every once in a while with new items that go on sale. The stuff you can buy is only cosmetic. The only thing I might go for is the Hulk wearing the purple suit. And the battle passes will be free, for me anyway. If you have a group to play with, this game is a goddamn riot. I suggest you grab a few buds and play with them, since the matchmaking is very hit or miss. On one hand, there is a matchmaking option where you are assigned a hero, and one where you can stay as the current selected hero. The missions that can show up are missions that every user has available, but the other option is you pick a mission and allow people using this matchmaking to hopefully be added to your team. The issue with this system as it is right now is that it does not take into account your power level. Meaning, I usually play 1 or 2 rounds with people under my level, and then in the next I get paired with people at max level. That makes it almost impossible for you to participate in some of these fights. I suggest, if I may, to go to a subreddit called r/PlayAvengers. It will have a lot of people constantly looking for others to play with. And I also noticed that there's a consensus to buy the PlayStation version, not just because Spider-Man's coming to it, but because it's also the best bang for your buck. You're going to get the free PS5 upgrade when it comes out, and the PC version is apparently not the most stable. It seems to have a bunch of glitches. In terms of game crashes, like whether this game performs well or it doesn't, I've had to hard reset this once when I was playing online. In like small bugs, some optional bosses did not spawn in one of my games, but the main mission still worked, so we were able to finish it with no problems. Overall, I very much enjoyed this game, and I would say paying full price is going to be very worth when it's fully completed. Yes, the game isn't finished. It just isn't. It's a live service game. They're going to be constantly giving it updates, and they're going to be constantly adding new content. But for what it's worth, $60 isn't a bad price for this one. It's going to be done. If anything, the value of the game as it is right now, I'd say it's a solid $30 to $40. It's a very unexpected gem. With all the hate I was sold on, I expected to at least find something terrible about it, but it's a decent game. It does have like a couple of game-breaking bugs, but the fact that throughout the entire experience I only had to hard reset the game once, it wasn't that big of a problem. At the time of recording this, I have been unable to start the Kate Bishop expansion. I may add in some thoughts in a secondary video on this when I revisit the game later on, when I finish more of the post-game, which I will be doing because I did actively enjoy what I was playing, so it's kind of not really a bad problem to have, to be honest. But moving on to the next week. So I've been doing a lot of video game videos, and by that I mean my first 4 videos are reviews for games. And for this game, it's more like a first impressions than a review. Next week, I kind of want to change to something else. Not never talk about video games again, but more along the lines of I want to talk about something else I like. Because I want this to be a channel where I talk about anything, it's not just a video game channel. And next week, I have been struck with the idea and need to speak about something that I really like. It's a certain franchise I have referenced a couple of times in my previous videos and in this one when referring to Kamala's powers. I hope you all tune in when I speak about the wonderful world of One Piece and why it is my favorite franchise. Thanks for watching and hope to see you next week.